We are almost at the end of this 119, and we have hit the last of the last three letters. We're in Resh. We're going to be in Psalms 119, 153 through 160. Again, not spending a lot of time on the letter itself, but I will kind of bring in, as usual, we're going to bring in how does this letter go with what we're trying to teach, right? So with this section. So I really encourage you right off the bat, I want to encourage you to hop over to are we not? Oh, we are recording. I want to encourage you to hop off after this and go watch the Psalms, the Resh in Discovering the Energy of the Letters with Brenda Johnson Stroth. Get over there and watch her in that. They're very quick videos, great for you to go in there and see the letter, understand the letter a little more, then maybe come back in and add that dimension to your understanding of these 6 verses or 8 verses. Boy, I'll get it. Thanks to all of you again who are joining me live. Love seeing you live, and we'll have an open discussion here after we're finished with this. I'm going to hop on and go ahead and share my screen. That way we can get to some interaction with one another. So here we go. So again, we're in Psalms 119, 153 through 160, and the letter that's associated with is Resh. Everyone practice it. Let me hear you. Resh. I can't really hear you. Good. I can see your mouth moving, Amanda. Yay. It's kind of like when you're learning Spanish and you have to like roll your R's, right? It's a so if you have kids next to you, it'll make you guys laugh. Everyone go Resh. It's not our hard Resh. It's a Resh. So kind of practicing that for those of you who Spanish is one of your languages, this will be easy for you. One of the reasons I chose this little lamb for this letter was because Resh is one of those letters that it is about being humbled and bowed, but it's also the opposite of that is being wicked, right? And we'll talk about that later. But this is that when we get to that place where we have to just be humbled and bowed before him, and like this little lamb cannot do anything. This looks like a brand new baby, can't do anything without help. Let's all pray this one works. Maybe. Yay.
Consider my affliction and deliver me.
Crank it, everybody.
For I do not forget your law. Plead my cause and redeem me. Revive me according to your word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they do not seek your statutes. Great are your tender mercies, O Lord. Revive me according to your judgments. Many are my persecutors and my enemies, yet I do not turn from your testimonies. I see the treacherous and am disgusted, because they do not keep your word. Consider how I love your precept. Revive me, O Lord, according to your loving kindness. The entirety of your word is truth.
Well, I always love listening to those because it's fun to hear. It's fun to not only for me to hear who how they have interpreted, what interpretation they're using, especially after I've gone in and I've done a study with words. And many of you already know inside your library, there is a keyword study. It's already been posted for a few days for you. And also a copy of this PowerPoint is in PDF form. So you are able to go through and look at it. You're welcome. Sometimes what some people do is when you're watching one of our courses and we have a PowerPoint up, we try to get those in there in advance so you could actually say, watch it on one device and have the other device open and actually be going through the PowerPoint along with us. So anyways, these words are valid for you today. I know that sounds redundant, but I want to encourage you, Father, I thank you that your word right now is valid for today. And knowing that the Holy One is intimately involved with those who read and apply his word. And that's what I think he's saying is, he sees the affliction, he delivers you. And when we see that word see, it's ray, to see, ra'ah, to see. Not looking at something. It's not just like, okay, I looked over. Oh yeah, I saw that. Hey, do you see that? You know how it is when when you're in an intimate conversation with someone and you're like, do you see me? And or do you and when you're asking someone to see something, but you're wanting to spark action, um, you're not just wanting there to be like a viewing of something. And I want you to just to see that it's not, I want you to see that. I want you to understand that we in the English language use the word for see as like to understand something or whatever. But he wants them, maybe that is a good understanding. Like, I want you to see and understand me and know me, see me. I want you to see. I want you to see my afflictions. And we've talked about this word earlier when in one of the very, very beginnings of Psalms 119, we really dove into this word affliction. I'm going to touch on it and then encourage you to go back and start maybe from the beginning in some of the letters so that you get what this word affliction really is about. So does God need to be asked to see? I was asking myself that. Does I need to ask him, hey, would you see me? Or doesn't he see everything? Doesn't he know everything already? That was one of the things I was asking him about. And the thing is, I think that it's the same, no different than when we're saying asking him to remember. Zakar, when you're the creator of the universe and there's so many things going on, I think sometimes it's okay for to say, hey, I know you're noticing, but no, really, I want some undivided attention. Can you see me right now? And when he says this, would you see me, my affliction? And I'm reading out of the scriptures version, my affliction, he says, and this word is H6050, and it is my affliction, my oni. The root is ana, which is H6031. And I have really grown this year in understanding what this word means, this affliction. It's not just about this pain, like affliction, like someone's beating me to death, but we learned before that it means that labor, that work that actually cultivates something. So it's like cultivating a field that's bringing about fruit, something that I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train. I know that I am tilling this field. I'm doing this affliction, this work that I'm doing is actually going to produce a crop. It's going to produce great things. So he makes his petition for deliverance based on his not forgetting. He's basing it on not forgetting in spite of his affliction. David's saying, in spite of my afflictions, in spite of this work, I have not forgotten your Torah. I have not forgotten the Mishnah that when you fulfill Torah from an afflicted state or in difficult times, you're going to have a natural consequence of this state of plenty and affluence in chaos. And isn't that the definition of shalom? We see Yeshua says, this shalom that I leave you, he's left us his word. He was the word walking amongst us, showing us that the natural state of us honoring the word, even in our afflicted state, even in the state of us cultivating, working in our fields to bring fruit, to bring multiplication to the Torah, to the things in our lives that would bring honor to him. In the midst of that, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be things coming against us. But in the midst of all that, he's going to bring us shalom. Or is he saying when we honor Torah, and I'm going to move so I can't see you guys. Okay. So, or he's saying when we honor Torah, you're taken away from the yoke of the law. Because saying in the midst of this, he says, see my affliction, deliver me, for I have not forgotten your Torah. Deliver me. When I was listening to different rabbis teaching on this, he was that one of the options that was given in this was the way that it's worded in Hebrew is that when you honor Torah, you're taken away from the yoke that comes with a heavy law or the consequences of sin and death. Oh, isn't that interesting? Can you hear Yeshua in this telling us about his yoke is light? Because he was HaTorah. He was saying that I'm light. So is he saying that these afflictions deliver me? You're see me, they and my afflictions and deliver me because your word is going to deliver me. Is David saying that he didn't take on this yoke of Torah and he didn't take it on and then not be able to see the lightness of it, if that makes sense? He took it on because he knows in taking this on, those afflictions are going to bring fruit. He knows that because he's doing these things and he wants to Father to, hey, look at me, know that I'm doing these things. You know, the Resh in this verse is he's saying, I'm not wicked. The face of the one of the things it from last week or week before last when we were together, we learned the letter Kof. And the letter Kof, it's interesting the way they'll say that the Kof is turned away. The face of the Kof is turned away from the Resh because the Kof is about righteousness and the righteous can't look on the wicked. And that sin becomes this barrier between us and God because his presence dwells in us and we're his temple. If we're saying, see, look at me, because look at me, because I'm working out righteousness. I'm working out your things. I'm afflicted in the things of you. I'm working the field that you've given me. I'm cultivating and bringing things into fruition. So see, you can still look upon me because not like the wicked who aren't doing that. I want your undivided attention. I don't know about you, but one of the things I have a pet peeve is, you go to dinner with someone or you go to lunch and you set time aside and I value time. And have you ever noticed if you're with someone and then all of a sudden they're picking their phone up and they're constantly doing something with their phone? And I have at one time I went to had a girl come in from out of town. I had her stay with my family. Then we went together. We went and sat and had a beautiful time together. I picked out this really sweet little like tea place for women. It had like beautiful little, it was set up just beautiful. And the entire time she just kept grabbing her phone, and looking at her phone. And it was like, I just wanted her undivided attention during that time. And so it's kind of like that when we're asking him sometimes, can I just get for a minute? I know you're creating all things and you're healing things and you're working miracles and doing all the things you do and keeping all the stars in alignment. But for just a minute, can you see where I'm at and what I'm doing? He says in there, deliver me, but you deliver me. Deliver me from my afflictions, which is halas, is H2502. And it means to draw out or to loose. To draw out or to loose. And that's a hey, a lamed, and a sade sofit. And I just want you, we've gone through these letters and we've gone through the verses together. Many of you are coupling this with the energy of the letter course. So you're getting a visual, you're getting that understanding, and these letters should begin to dance for you that as you see when the word deliver, what does that word really mean? Does it mean like, oh my gosh, come and rescue me? But I saw a dimensionality of this, hey, the revelation, the lamed, the teaching, the instructions, the sade, right? The sade sofif, that ultimate righteousness, the ultimate. So would you bring the revelation and the correction and these instructions and that lead me, because remember, they all lead into each other, that lead me to the ultimate righteous one, which is always Yeshua. Deliver me means, would you bring me to that place that I'm in his presence? This isn't about getting out of something. He's not saying deliver me, because, get me out of something, get me out of trouble quick. But he's asking for revelation, not getting out of it. Can you see he's asking for, would you bring me revelation that's going to bring me closer to Yeshua? Yeah, it's David. Yeah, it's the Old Testament. But hang on tight. You're going to see the word Yeshua here. So when you have the Torah in you, it never leaves you. And I want to leave you with that today. When you have Torah in you, the word is in you, it never leaves you. When he says, I will never leave you or forsake you, when your word is in him, that's just multiplying that promise. He never leaves you because he is in you. His word is in you. It is alive in you. Even more of a reason to have it. The more you have of it in you, the more of him you have in you, and an understanding and that revelation of who he is. In 154, he says, plead my cause and redeem me, revive me according to your word. See, we all need an advocate, right? We all need someone pleading, but the word plead is Reeb, and it's Hebrews 73:78, the Resh, the Yod, and the Bait. So it starts the word out. It starts with plead my cause. It's to contend, to strive, and then the word deliver here is Gaal. And this word deliver is Gaal. Unlike the one we saw about deliver me earlier is a different word. This one's Hebrew 13:50, and it's to buy something back. We know this because it's like the kinsman redeemer. It's like when you've given something away that was yours, and because you were desperate, he can buy it back for you. And you know what? I instantly sat in this for a second. He's saying, plead my cause and redeem me. You know, I've given things away. I've given trust away. I've given love away. You know what? I've given parts of my body away. I've given things away. But you, God, can buy all that back for me. You can give it back to me because you're my kinsman redeemer. Whatever I had to give away because we were starving, like we see with Naomi and her husband, they sold their land, right? They gave their land away and they left to Moab. When they came back to get their land back, they needed a kinsman redeemer to come in and be able to buy the land back for them, to keep it in their family because they'd given it away. We give things away in desperation. We give things away when we are in shame and we don't think we deserve it anymore. Father, right now, I ask that every woman that ever listens to it, that anything they've given away in the moment of desperation or shame or hunger, a hunger for truth, anything they've given away in those moments, Father, that you now would buy those back. You would redeem them. You would show them that you have purchased that field and that you are their kinsman redeemer, and revive them. This is what David's saying. He says, revive me, Hayah. Hebrew 24:21, Hayah. It means to live. But this live isn't just like, oh, I'm alive, I live. It's the focus on breathing. You know, if I come upon a scene, I'm a first responder as a nurse. And if I come upon a scene, the first thing I'm going to do if I see a body laying somewhere is I'm going to check to see if there's a pulse and if there's breathing. Because that breathing, if there's breath in it, this is determining if there's life, right? That's when Adam became life. He breathed his breath into us and man became alive. Also, it's about prospering. He's talking about reviving me, prospering me according to your word. I want to live well according to your word. I want you to bring vitality to my life according to your word. He also was saying that he wants to fulfill God's word with life. So see, there's a lot. There's always dimensionality to the Hebrew perspective of things, right? It's saying, breathe life into me, revive me with your word. I'm just taking this in, but I want my life to exemplify, like I want to be a great witness that I'm walking your word out, Father. I don't want to look like I'm pitiful and people are like, well, why would I want to be like her? I want to be like him. And I want people to see that as I walk this out, my life begins to prosper. Even my attitude is prospering, even if my situation isn't prospering, and people will see that. They're seeing Torah coming alive in that. So that's what we're asking for here. He's saying, I want to fulfill God's word with life. I want to walk it out and be part of his word so much that I'm also co-creating and bringing life to his word. I want to use my energy and my life for the things that actually matter and not fight fights that just aren't mine to fight. And in 154, we continue to learn that learning with Torah is vitality and it's a source of life. We see, you guys look it up in Proverbs 4:20 and 22. We're encouraged that his words are life when you find them. They're life. They're healing to our flesh. As we keep going on in verse 155 and 156, here's where we see it. In 155, deliverance is far from the wrong ones. I don't know what your version says. It might say salvation is far from the wrong ones. But that word deliverance here is actually, and salvation is Yeshua. Hebrews 34:44, not a new word. Yeshua. Many of us today just need to cry that name out. Yeshua. Yeshua is far from the wrong ones, for they have not sought your laws. Yeshua, it's a divine deliverance. It's that safe place. We know it as our Messiah. We know it as our kinsman redeemer. We know it as the one that we run to when we need help, because he is our salvation. But these wicked, they're rebellious against God. But his compassion, he's telling them, and we keep in 156 that your compassions are many. Your chesed, your compassion is great. The root word is actually not chesed. The root word is actually raham, Hebrews 73:55, which is you're to love, to cherish, to behold with tenderness and affection. Very similar to the word chesed. But we see his tenderness. He's saying, your tendernesses are many. They're many. No matter, even though the wicked are not following you, even though no matter what they're doing, you are still loving. So is David talking about being worthy? Like, okay, I did all this stuff earlier. I did all this stuff. So you need to remember me. I want you to see me because I followed your stuff. But these people not doing it. They're not worthy. I have sought you out. I embrace your deliverance, but these wicked people haven't, and you're far from them. But doesn't his word say that his arm is not too short, right? He's always there. He never leaves us. He never forsakes us. Ezekiel 18:23 says, have I any pleasure in the death of the wicked? Declares the Lord God, and not rather that he should turn from his way and live? Isn't it God's heart that he's chasing after them? In Proverbs 10:24, what the wicked dreads will come upon him, but the desire of the righteous will be granted. Sadly, this is probably more about what David's talking about here, in the sense that he's saying, what's happening to these wicked, I can see coming upon them because they're not following your words. And he's saying, I want to walk out the things and the desires of the righteous. I want my desires to be granted according to your word. You don't have to be religious to understand some of these things that we're going to talk about the things that are right, the things that are wrong. You don't have to be religious. We know you're not supposed to murder. We know you're not supposed to cheat on your spouse. We know you're not supposed to steal things. We're talking about these mitzvahs that are just not just the ones that are known, not just the ones that make sense. We're talking about those mitzvahs, those things he's asked us to do that are a pretty big leap of faith. They're not just these little steps. We're talking about the big leaps of faith sometime. Some of these statutes, we don't find rhyme or reason to them, and we have to decide to do it. Some of it, it's like, why can't I eat this? Okay, well, I can realize back then there wasn't good refrigeration, or I realized that back then this would happen. And am I going to burn in hell because I'm not able to, because I eat something? Absolutely not. But what he's saying, if you will follow these mitzvahs, there are going to be righteous things that happen in your life. What you'll see is there'll be health benefits that you don't understand, but suddenly, because you're not eating this strange red dye because it's out of a crushed cockroach that I've told you not to eat, this red dye now is causing mental issues. It's causing behavioral issues in children. There's some things that now we may be able to make rhyme or reason of it, but are you willing to obey when you can't make rhyme or reason to it? Are you willing to obey just because he said so? We do it even when it goes against the grain, even when it doesn't make sense. It's called a hook. And that means it's the laws without reason. We don't understand it. In verse 155 or 157, even though many are against him, David is saying, I haven't backed out of my pursuit of Torah. And I didn't respond hate for hate. And I maintained your Torah approach. I maintained walking this out. And my response, I'm asking you, should be measured as a Torah response. So the question then is, how do you respond to your enemies? Do you respond like David? Do you pray for them? In Matthew 5:43, Yeshua gives us this. He says, you have heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I'm saying to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, both of them, and he sends rain to the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, that what reward do you have? I mean, it's easy, right? It's easy to love the lovely. Anybody can do that. We hear this later in one of the other gospels. Anybody can love the easy people. But are you able to actually not return like for like? Are you able to, in the midst of all of this, even though they've acted a certain way, they've acted in evil, are you going to be like David and said, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust that you're bringing rain on the just and the unjust. I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only person. Sometimes I'm like, geez, I have some really hard times when I've cried out, this is not fair. I've done everything the way you've called me to do it. I've done everything, Father, the way you've asked me to do it. And it's not fair because I'm watching their lives prosper and they don't. I know how they live. Well, first of all, I'm judging. And now I'm not trusting the way God is dealing with my provision or what he's doing in my life or their life. All kinds of things are wrong there. And what I see David saying here is, I want to live in this place of prosperity, not in abundance, in my spirit, in my heart. I'm going to trust. I'm not going to, you've heard me say, fair is not a fruit of the spirit. It's not fair. Okay. It's not. I'm not going to be a victim. David's saying, I won't be a victim because these people are after me because of all the things going on. I won't let all of this weaken my faith. And he's saying, I'm under a lot of pressure here. He's the king and his job is to protect the boundaries and to protect the cities and to protect the walls of making sure that people are safe. There's a lot of people coming in against him. And he's saying, there's a lot of pressure. I'm overwhelmed. You know what? I don't think I'm going to study today. I'm not going to have time to pray today because I'm just really stressed out. Okay, well, that's just me. But what I find is I want to be like David. I was encouraged in this study to say, I want to be like David, that even when I'm in pressure, even when I'm overwhelmed, even more so, I want to press in and spend time in his word and get his word in me, because then I'm going to have the benefit of not being a victim. I'm going to have the benefit of being strong. I'm going to have I'm going to cry out to the Father and say, see me. And that word comes alive in me. And even in the midst of whatever's happening, I'm going to feel that shalom. And David says, no matter what, no matter the stress that I was under, I continued. See, my spiritual character will not be determined by my enemies or my circumstances. Can you say that? Can you say it? Maybe it's something we need to consider in this second half of our year, 5783, and whenever you're listening to this, maybe it's something we need to reset. In the midst of my circumstances, they may have paved over me like this little plant, but I'm going to find a way out. My spiritual character will not be determined by my circumstances, by my enemies. My faith will still remain strong. I will refuse to respond in kind. See, if you carry a grudge, many of you have heard this before, you allow someone to live rent-free in your heart and in your mind. If you carry a grudge and you're holding on to resentment and you're allowing someone to, in that resentment and everything, what's happening is it's taking away from the abundance he's called you to through his word. He continues on, not only have I continued in my own faith, but I have taken on the weight of others, because we talked about this. He's the king. It wasn't personal. It's not a battle against flesh and blood. He was saying, this isn't just about me. In 158, he says, I saw traitors and I was grieved. He's talking about him. Then he brings in through the rest. I see the persecutors. I see the traitors and I'm grieved for them. I've taken on the weight of them. That's a shepherd. A shepherd says, you look around, and I mean, this morning as I was praying over our team for the Rue du Cafe, and I was like, Father, wherever there are holes, Father, fill the holes in where the enemy may try to come in. Father, anything that's anywhere where you see a weakness, anywhere there's something that's grieving, fill it in. It's not just about you. Are you doing that for your family? Are you looking around? Are you a leader that's looking for the places that might be grieving the spirit that you can come in? And it doesn't mean you have to point them out to everyone and go in and pull the weeds, right? But what you can do is you can spend time with a father and let him know, like David is doing, that they are not guarding with your word. Father, let your word come alive in them. It wasn't about their rebellion to the word. It wasn't about rebellion to him. It was their rebellion to the word. It was their rebellion against God that he was feeling. You know, can you think about the situations in your life right now? Is the rebellion against you, or is the rebellion, if we look at it from a different perspective, just take a step back out of our emotions, our emotional intelligence. One of the things to become a very emotional intelligence is to be able to learn to take the pause. Take the pause. It is a tool, a gift. You're welcome. Take the pause. Because those people that are trying to be traitors against you, that are hurting you, what they're really doing is they're grieving the word. They're grieving the Holy One. So crying out to him saying, I need you, Father, they need you. We need to hate that sin and not the sinner. We need to hate that and hate the fact, like David is hating, that they aren't responding to his word. Because those people are responding with the hate in their heart. And what we need to do instead is take the pause and then strengthen ourselves in the word and not respond again in kind. See, he was grieved that good things were happening to the wicked, and they weren't also reflecting the Torah well. We talked about that just a minute ago. In verse 160, this is a section that's read in preparation for blowing the shofar. It's the beginning. He says, the beginning of your words are true. Does he mean that only the beginning, but not the end? I don't know. I'm curious to see what your version says. Mine says the beginning. The beginning, mine says the sum of your word is truth. I love that, because when I did look it up, the word is rosh, which is, here we are, our resh. It's Hebrew 72:18, the sum. Everything is true. Everything is true. This is really the bottom line, right? This is the bottom line to everything. It's like, okay, I don't have anything else to take on my deserted island, but I'm going to take Psalms 119, 160. The sum of your word is truth, and all your righteous right rulings are forever. How does discipleship work? You know, we focus on that here very strongly. And some people say, well, don't you have a structured discipleship program? No, because discipleship is studying his word, showing people how to study this word. And if you are studying his word, you will be discipled. And the last part of this, he says, everything else will fade away because your word is forever. There we have that Resh. And again, I encourage you to go to the Discover the Energy of the Letters to see the Resh, the whole teaching on this letter. It is a hope. I think it's a hope for me. I see it as a hope of ultimate redemption, coming in bowed, coming in as you see a man getting off his throne and bowing his head and coming in submission and acknowledging the wickedness, acknowledging the need for redemption. I'll go ahead and read us our prayer. Father, may our afflictions be seen and may we be rescued. May we not forget your Torah. May our causes be defended and may we be redeemed. May our lives be restored through your Torah. May salvation not be far from us as it is with the wicked, and may we seek after your decrees. May we know that your mercies are great. May our lives be restored with your judgments. May our persecutors and foes not be many, and may we not turn from your testimonies. May we see the treacherous and grieve because they do not keep your word. May we love your precepts, and may our lives be restored. Jehovah, may your loving kindness, may we know that the truth is the essence of your word and that all your righteous rulings and right rulings are forever. Amen.